Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to yet another pardon me. Welcome back to yet another DVD collection video. This is part 4 now. We've got some interesting stuff to show today. A real mix of sort of like mainstream well-known stuff, I guess, and sort of more obscure sort of stuff. And some stuff that's not even movies at all, obviously, you know, it's obviously always going to happen. Obviously, before we dive into anything, I want to plug my podcast. It's called Ironcast. I will leave the link to it in the description below. It is a music podcast mainly. We have examined all sorts of stuff. We try to, you know, choose from different genres. We've done a full podcast. We did top 10 sci-fi and fantasy movies recently. So go and check that one out if you're into film and stuff. That'd be really, you know, that'd really make me happy if you'd go and check that out, because you know, I'm very proud of the podcast and I want as many people to pay attention to it as possible. But anyway, getting on with the collection video, we're going to start off with the Comic Strip Presents the Complete Collection. So for anyone who's not aware, the Comic Strip was a group of comedians who rose to prominence in the early 80s as part of what was known as the alternative comedy scene. Featured the likes of Rick Mayall and Ade Edmondson, Alexis Sale, Nigel Planer, French and Saunders. Really well-known comics, and some other sort of slightly less well-known ones who were very funny, you know, the likes of Andy De La Tour and Mark Arden. Really funny stuff. And basically they were signed to Channel 4 when Channel 4 was brand new, to make a string of essentially short films, like half-hour long short films, short comedy films. I mean, you know, just to throw out some of my favourites, obviously Bad News Tour and More Bad News, about a fictional heavy metal band who are not very good and just seem to have rotten luck. A Fistful of Traveller's Checks, about two spaghetti western fans who go out to the sort of the wilds of Spain to try and recreate their favourite spaghetti westerns. Private Enterprise, the episode about a guy who steals a band's tape from a studio and pretends that it's his band, and they end up becoming big, and he's got to sort of pretend that the band exists and they don't, even though they don't exist, and he's got to like fake it. That's very entertaining. Mr. Johnny Lives Next Door, Rick Mayall and Ade Edmondson doing what they do best, just being hilariously yobbish and beating the shit out of each other. Very funny stuff. Wild Turkey, one of the more underrated editions of the comic strip. Space Virgins from the Planet Sex. How can you not love anything with that title? And the last one that I'm going to bring up, Gregory, Diary of a Nutcase, which is really has to be seen to believe. It's just a video diary of Ade Edmondson playing this guy who's clearly quite insane. So I'll leave you to discover that one. Comes in rather a nice set, sort of folds out, and as you yeah, let's see if I can show you. So the bomb gets further and further away until, yeah, that's pretty cool. And then you got the bonus disc back there. There's some pretty cool extras on this. There's a couple of there's a couple of documentaries, the original from 1981, the short film that Julian Temple made at the comedy store where the comic strip were performing, you know, that sort of got them a little bit of notice. It's really cool, actually. I really like it because it's done like it's genuine footage of them performing at the comedy store, but it's like interweaved with like this vague narrative, like going on of like what's going on backstage and stuff, which is, you know, staged and acted out. But that's really cool. Unfortunately, this set is out of date now. They've made 3 additional shorts since this was released. Sex Actually, The Hunt for Tony Blair, and 5 Go to Rehab, which I hopefully will be able to find somehow. Next up, The Cottage. This is a British horror comedy starring Reece Shearsmith and Andy Serkis, is it? Yeah, Andy Serkis, Reece Shearsmith, yeah. And Jennifer Ellison as well. So it's essentially a movie about these two brothers who've pulled off a kidnap and it's all gone wrong and stuff. They've gone out to hole up in the sticks. Quite entertaining. I actually watched this one not too long ago. I can't really remember it that well. That's weird. It had a bit of a sort of House by the Cemetery thing going on. Like there was like. Actually, I won't go too far into it because it's, you know, a bit spoilerific to do all that. But yeah, The Cottage. What extras does it have? It has a director's commentary, making of, some outtakes, theatrical trailer, all that sort of thing. But yeah, no, I remember enjoying it. I just can't really remember much about it. But yeah, you know, it is quite entertaining. There was some good gore and stuff. I would definitely suggest, if you're into horror comedy, at least, you should definitely check this out if you haven't already. I mean, I'm not the biggest horror comedy person in general, but this is a reasonably good one. So yeah, that's The Cottage. Now here's a cool, obscure film. Next up, Cradle of Fear. Now this film is best known to Cradle of Filth fans, which I'm not really one, I should say. I like their first album. Their first album was fucking sick, but everything after that, not for me. So this is based. This stars Danny Filth, for the lead singer of Cradle of Filth, as the man who is kind of it's basically an anthology film. It's 4 separate stories that are kind of weaved together by this narrative, and you know, it's very interesting stuff. So it's the first short story. It's about this girl who meets up with the main character, you know, takes him home to her place, her apartment, and he like does something to her and it's really weird and she's freaking out all the next day and stuff. And then the next one's about these 2 girls who are trying to rob a house, but it all goes wrong. Then there's one about a guy who loses his leg in a car accident, and he's out trying to find another leg. And then the last one's about a guy who becomes obsessed with this like sort of snuff pornography website thing where you like pay to like vote on what will happen to the victim. You know, it's and it's all interweaved by this story about this copper who's trying to track down what's going on, and all the deaths linking back to this guy who's in an insane asylum. It's a very dense story. There's a lot going on. I'd need to watch it again to give you the full summation. I really enjoyed this for a British gore movie, and it is a very gory movie, from about 2001, I think, 2000, somewhere in there. Which is funny because as a British person, as an English person, it's like a time capsule back to that time. It is really like that. But yeah, no, this is a fun movie. There's mixed fortunes. 2 of the shorts I really like. 2 I'm kind of mixed on. The practical effects are all great. The CGI is abysmal in this film. The CGI is what really detracts from it. But other than that, Cradle of Fear, I actually quite like. It's a cool movie. In terms of extras, I mean, it's got some theatrical trailers. It's got a short little documentary that's like clips from the making of, which is very cool to see. Actually, I mean, I'm personally into that sort of thing. Also, Emily Booth's in this, and she gets her tits out, which is you know, always pleasant. But yeah, no, this is it's a super low budget movie shot on digital video, or would it even have been? Would it have just been shot on video? Yeah, I think it was probably just shot on video. It was long ago enough. But yeah, Cradle of Fear, I would recommend it. I think it's a very cool movie. Next up, I found this for 20p, I think, in CEX. This is Creature Features 1. So this has got 4 movies on it. Octopus, Octopus 2, Spiders, and Spiders 2. This is by Hollywood DVD, who I always remember from back in the day. This 2 of those 2-sided discs, which is cool. I quite like those. But yeah, no, I haven't watched any of these because I'm fairly certain they're going to be terrible. I just got them because they're 5p each. I figured maybe I'll watch one, might get a mild bit of enjoyment out of it. But yeah, no, I remember all these sorts of movies from when I was a kid. They were quite big at that time. You know, all the sort of giant squid movies and that sort of thing with their, you know, naff CGI and all that sort of thing. You know, it's not really my cup of tea, but I guess a lot of people did enjoy it back then. So there's 4 of them. That's Octopus, Octopus 2, Spiders, and Spiders 2. I will probably report on this when I can. I'll see. Maybe I'll watch one after I've done this. And continuing in the same vein, this is Crocodile. A very similar sort of thing to those movies I was just talking about, only with a giant crocodile. Plainest disc in the world. So the reason I picked this up is because it is by Tobe Hooper. It's directed by Tobe Hooper, who obviously directed my tied favourite movie of all time, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. This is crap. It's kind of revisiting a little bit of Eaten Alive, I guess, which obviously also featured a crocodile. This is a much bigger crocodile, though. And this time, rather than being an unconvincing practical effect, it's a very unconvincing CGI effect. Yeah, I really didn't enjoy this at all. Like I say, those sort of, you know, early 2000s, you know, giant nature movies were not my thing then, and they're not my thing now. But, you know, I picked it up because it's Tobe Hooper. I thought it might surprise me. It didn't. But that's Crocodile. So, stand-up comedy now. And this is the only DVD I've got by this comedian, which is a shame because I really like it. It's Dara O'Brien's This Is the Show. Dara O'Brien, if you're not aware of him, is a very funny man, Irish comedian based in the UK now. This show was recorded at the Hammersmith Apollo, Hammersmith Odeon, you might know it as. There's some extra stuff on there. There's some stuff of him live in Dublin earlier on the tour when he was doing his warm-up, and it's him in a really small room just joking around with the audience and stuff. So that's cool. But yeah, there's a bunch of extras and stuff. Yeah, I really like Dara O'Brien. I won't go on for too long about this, but that's Dara O'Brien, This Is the Show. So now we have one of my favourite movies of all time, actually, and this is The Day the Earth Stood Still. The classic science fiction, social satire kind of thing, I guess is the best way to describe it. Yeah, I really can't summarise this film well enough, how great it is. I mean, it's so perfect. It's a film that it was made in 1951, I think, and it's still every bit as relevant in terms of its social commentary today as it was then. Really is. Aside from the fact it's black and white and set in the 50s, there's really nothing to date this film thematically. It's a fantastic movie. It's 88 minutes long. It's not a big, dense movie that you've got to, you know... It's not like 2001: A Space Odyssey or Blade Runner or anything like that. It's, you know, it's a nice, compact movie. And I would definitely suggest checking it out. To be honest, I haven't checked out the extra features on this because, I mean, when there's a movie this good, oftentimes you don't really care. I just want to put the movie on. Although, having said that, I only watch this movie about once a year, and every time I do it, you know, it knocks me for six. So that's The Day the Earth Stood Still. Alright, moving on with some horror now. The creators of Alien bring a new terror to Earth. Dead and Buried. Yeah, this is a zombie film, but not as you know it. It's it really you know, floored me the first time I saw it, this movie, because it's, as I say, a zombie movie done absolutely nothing like you know a zombie movie. It's, you know, all the, you know, this whole reanimation thing of, to even talk about the plot is almost to spoil the movie. I mean, it's got a very Twilight Zone-esque feel. It's got the definite feel of an episode of the Twilight Zone, and a good episode of the Twilight Zone at that. You know, the twist ending is really great. There's some really good stuff going on in this movie. Special effects, all practical special effects, really great stuff. I really like Dead and Buried. So in terms of extras, there's 3 audio commentaries with the director, one with producer and actress, and the cinematographer. On disc 2, oh yeah, the effects are by Stan Winston, so you know that's obviously cool. He's amazing. Yeah, Robert Englund's in this movie. It's early work in his career, and an interview with Dan O'Bannon, who was one of the writers, who of course wrote Alien. Yeah, so there's a trailer, stills gallery, biographies, really cool stuff. I really like Dead and Buried. Really cool movie. Fuck, I might watch this after we're done. But yeah, no, this is really cool. Anchor Bay have done a nice job on this set, because it's a nice cheap set. It's not flashy, but it's got plenty of extra stuff to keep you entertained. So, and that's the sort of thing I like. You know, I'm not into these big, you know, fancy, you know, display boxes and all that sort of thing. This is more my cup of tea because it's nice, affordable. It's got everything you want. Dead and Buried. Really cool movie. I'd recommend that one to any fans of late 70s, early 80s horror. That's really cool stuff. I like that a lot. Okay, so next up, this is one that was really popular with me and my mates when we were teenagers. Sort of around the time it came out, I guess, we would have been really into this movie. And we used to, this was one of the movies we used to put on when we hung out and stuff. Dead Snow. This is the, is it from Norway? Yeah, it's from Norway. A group of friends go on a skiing holiday. They find some treasure. Moving the treasure disturbs kind of the corpses of these Nazis who rise up as zombies to reclaim their treasure. Very entertaining movie. It's not a horror comedy, really. There are some laughs in it. I mean, a lot of people call it a horror comedy. I don't really think of it as a horror comedy. I do think it's a horror movie, but it's a horror movie that's not afraid to make you laugh. But yeah, it's great. There's a lot of great, you know, chainsaw action and all that sort of thing, and you know, it's cool. But I mean, yeah, it's definitely a lot of fun. In terms of special effects, there's a making of featurette, there's a makeup featurette, there's a special effects featurette, and there's trailers. Yeah, I really like Dead Snow. It's a really cool zombie movie. Anyone who knows me knows that zombies, I'm a big fan of zombies actually, and I'm not ashamed to say it. I know zombies are kind of seen a little bit as like, oh, you know, but come at me. I prefer zombie movies to slasher movies and you know, haunted house movies and everything. I don't know, it's just taste, isn't it? I mean, and yeah, that's so zombie is like my favourite subgenre of horror, I think. Next up, Death Proof. This is the first Tarantino movie I'm showing in this series, and unfortunately it's also the one of the ones I've seen. I haven't seen all of them. It's the worst one as far as I'm concerned. I haven't seen Inglourious Bastards yet, and I haven't seen The Hateful Eight. But yeah, this is definitely his worst one out of those. Not that bad. I mean, it's definitely interesting. I think the trouble is that it's kind of got how long is it? So it's 109 minutes. Is that his shortest movie, or is Reservoir Dogs shorter? Reservoir Dogs might be shorter, but this is the shortest one of his movies in when he's been, you know, in the mainstream. And it's yeah, it doesn't really work too well. It's got that thing of having a lot of dialogue. The trouble is that there's a lot of dialogue that feels really aimless. Like for the first sort of 45 minutes of the movie, you're just sort of like in this bar with these people and they're just talking and nothing's really happening. And I mean, you get to know the characters a little bit, but a lot of those characters that you've spent so much time getting to know die like immediately after all this happens. So it's, I mean, it just feels a bit pointless. But I mean, it's definitely not bad. I do like Death Proof. There's a lot of fun. The car chase stuff in it is incredible. That's one thing I do have to give it credit for, is that the car chasing and all that sort of thing is fantastic, and it goes on for a really long time. It's really tense. I really like that. But yeah, there's a feature out about the cars and some galleries and trailers and all that sort of stuff on it. Death Proof. Far from Tarantino's best, obviously. I think everyone agrees, but it's okay. It's not. Some people make out that Death Proof's a really bad film, but it's not. I quite like it. I think it's okay. Although I am with people, it's far from Tarantino's best work. Okay, so next up, Def Leppard, Best of the Videos. Now, this, I've got to say, there was a little insert thing. I am a big Def Leppard fan, but unfortunately I'm only a big fan of the first 3 albums. The first 2 albums particularly, but the first 3 albums are the ones that I actually like by Def Leppard. And this contains next to nothing off of those albums. There's nothing off the first album. There's only 1 song off of the second album, and that one's the alternative video. And yeah, there's 3 tracks off the third album, and that's it. And to be honest, after that, there's really not a lot that I like by Def Leppard. Pardon me. There's really not a lot that I like by Def Leppard after that. So, I mean, it's kind of moot me having this. This was actually a gift when I was going for a phase when I was really listening to their early stuff a lot, which I still do, actually. But and I definitely appreciated it, because there is a nice bit of thought behind that, but just not into the later stuff. Okay, this is a film. I made a bit of a boo-boo here. This is Blue Underground's release of Delirium. Now, I made a bit of a boo-boo here because I thought that this might be the Video Nasty Delirium, which is actually a totally different film. I've since found out that that film has never been released officially on disc anywhere in any form. This is an entirely different film. I did watch this Italian movie. There's 2 cuts of it here. There's the international version and the American version. The international version is in the international version is in Italian with English subs. The American version is dubbed into English. But yeah, no, there's some interviews and stuff with the writer and director and the main star. I've got to be honest, I have not watched the alternate American version. Maybe I should. But I watched the Italian version, and I mean, it's claiming on the front, it's wonderfully sick and demented, a shining example of outrageous psychosexual perversity. And that's pushing it a bit. I mean, there's some sex and stuff in the movie, and you know, a little bit of mild sexual violence, but I don't think this movie was that extreme. I mean, I could, but it's about a guy who's, you know, a sex addict who murders women, and you know, he's like, him and his wife kind of a bit twisted up and stuff, and it goes on. But it was okay, but maybe I need to watch the alternate cut to gain a bit more of an appreciation for it. We'll see. Up. I haven't seen this one either, because this is a sequel, and I saw the original, or the movie that came before it in the line, and I didn't like it. So I haven't got that movie on DVD, but I saw this one really cheap, so I picked it up. I thought, I'll check it out. If I like it, I'll go back and check the previous one out. It's The Devil's Rejects. Now, I'm not a Rob Zombie fan at all. I think his work is just vanity projects, and he should go back to making music, because he's crap at making films. So on the whole, I'm not impressed with his work. I haven't seen all of it, to be fair. I should check out. I mean, I haven't seen that Lords of Salem or whatever it's called. I've seen the 2 Halloween movies he did not fucking like them at all. So yeah, this is The Devil's Rejects. I will watch it. I'll find out what I think of it, see what I think, and then depending on what I think, I'll either get rid of it or get House of a Thousand Corpses, check that one out again. Up. This is Donnie Darko. Yeah, one of the great American independent films of all time. No real special features on this one. This is a really early DVD, I think. So yeah, it's really hard to sort of pigeonhole this film and define what it is. I mean, I guess it contains elements of horror, elements of sci-fi a little bit, elements of fantasy. I don't really even know if you could. Yeah, I mean, it's a really difficult film to explain to anyone. It's about this guy who basically starts seeing this kind of apparition of a rabbit who tells him that in however many days he's gonna die, and he's trying to work out what's going on and all that sort of thing or whatever. But it's really interesting movie, Donnie Darko. Fun stuff, check it out. Alright, next up, this one's from Aerodrome, and I've got the alternate cover on it. So this is the alternate cover, Das Haus der Liebenden Leichen. I think that's German, probably. It's Don't Go in the House. This is a video nasty from Aerodrome imprint. Comes with a nice booklet. What's in the booklet? I can't remember. Just an essay on the movie, I think. Yeah, an essay on the movie. Yeah, no, it's cool, man. I like Don't Go in the House a fair bit. Let me just show you the reversible sleeve on this one. There's that's the artwork it comes in at retail, by the way. Just to explain Aerodrome for anyone who's not aware, that's sort of like the budget variety of Arrow Video. Arrow Video is sort of a boutique label. They do very nice releases bundled with extras. They do a lot of really cool limited collector's editions that sell out immediately to scalpers who just sell the things for fucking hundreds, which really annoys me. You know, the profiteering. But they've also got Aerodrome, which is like their kind of cut price label where you can get a cheaper DVD, stripped away of a lot of extras and stuff, a lot more basic, but it's the same old thing. You know, it's just a kind of a pared down version for people. If you can't necessarily justify going full price on it, you can go Aerodrome, which is an option that I love having. Don't Go in the House, it's a bit of a psycho type story about a guy who goes a bit crazy when his mother dies and starts taking women back to his house, chaining them up in this steel lined room and torching them with a flamethrower. Really interesting movie, very dark. I would suggest checking out Don't Go in the House if you're a horror fan. It's a lesser known movie that I really think people should definitely check out. This is another movie that was also previously banned, much like Don't Go in the House. Don't Look in the Basement. Yeah, this is quite literally a film about lunatics taking over the asylum. This young girl turns up, the new nurse, and finds the place sort of falling apart at the seams. Yeah, Don't Look in the Basement is a lot of, well, it's not even really a lot of fun, I'd say. It's kind of a movie that, I mean, it's clearly made for the drive-in audience. It's very low budget. Its aesthetic is not nice. The print is really bad. But you know, it's definitely an interesting story. This is one that could possibly benefit from being remade. But yeah, no, it's a drive-in, just a drive-in type movie. So here's the last one I'm going to show you in this video, and we're ending on a movie I haven't seen in years, but even as a kid I thought was awful. Double Dragon. Now, anyone who knows me will know that I do have an intense nostalgia for the video game. I played Super Double Dragon heavily on the Super Nintendo. Oh, that's a really nice disc, actually. Can you see that? The way that the certificate is sort of works into the disc, it's almost like in reverse. I like that a lot, actually, that disc. Shame the movie's shitty. Oh, there's a receipt in here. Whoever owned it before obviously had the receipt. Let's see if we can... What date? Is there a date on it? 16th of the 3rd, 2002. And it was bought at Queen Victoria Street Game Station, Reading, in 2002, in March 2002, so over 14 years ago, for the price of £6. Awesome. I love things like that. But yeah, this is a obviously based on the video game, very loosely based on the video game. But yeah, no, this is Double Dragon. It's crap. It's got Robert Patrick playing this sort of, you know, guy who's threatening to take over the world. A massive step down from Terminator 2, let me say. But yeah, no, theatrical trailer, all that's, you know, just that basically, some biographies and stuff. Yeah, I haven't seen this in years. I will watch it again, but I remember it being awful even at the time. I mean, bear in mind that at the time I was really into like Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat, and those movies ain't that good. So this must be properly fucking awful. If even this, you know, looked terrible next to those, this must be really bad. But that'll do it for the video. Thank you very much for making it all the way through. It's always a pleasure doing these, as you know. Make sure you check back next time in about a fortnight when I'll be moving on and doing some more interesting stuff, hopefully. Showing you some more stuff that you want to see. Maybe you'll get some new recommendations. Maybe you'll think, oh man, his opinions are terrible, I'm going to unsubscribe. It's all good, man. It's all fun. So, make sure you check out the podcast. That's the important thing. But until then, I'll see you next time. I've been Luke, you've been you. Goodbye.